Final hour OverDrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Bryan Hayes, Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie McLennan, Darren Dreger here in a few moments. I'm seeing Mitch Marner's trending on Twitter, which I think is going to happen every single day.
Dude, it does anyway. I think from the beginning of training camp, I don't even check that. It's just like you just see trending. It's like John Tavares, Austin Matthews, Keefe, Maple Leafs. That stuff's that's a daily thing. I don't even think that's
every single day. It's trending every day, and what's pretty wild about the Leafs, and this probably applies to all 7 Canadian markets, is you'll get random depth players trending.
Oh yeah,
it's like Liljegren's trending. You're like, what? Why? Like, who's tweeting about that?
Yeah.
You'll
get a random mid-August Liljegren.
Yeah,
but I mean,
chain.
There's a huge chain. Everyone's buzzing about it.
Yeah, they got to chime in. But I saw, was it Brian Russ trending the other day where he's like, "Yeah, we would have beat." Was it him that said
Pittsburgh? I think he said if we got in, we would have beaten.
We would have beat
the Rangers
Florida
or something.
Yeah, the Rangers. Like
Florida might have been.
That's a tough comment. If true, when you don't even make it, you just can't say if we got in. You can't even start the sentence if we got in.
If we got into the playoffs, even though 16 teams make it, we would have been serious trouble for an opponent.
Yeah,
serious trouble.
No,
I kind of like that. Why not? It's like the Jays. Jays get in, they win a World Series. Who's going to hold me to that?
I don't know why you say that.
No one's going to hold you to it.
It's just I don't know why you would – like maybe he believed that, looking at the goalie, looking at the player Sid and all of that, but he didn't make it. So say I'm enjoying the offseason and that's it. I don't know.
I'm worried about the Jays. I'm not going to lie. I had a deep kind of thought process about them a couple of days ago. I'm like, okay, great. You got a couple off Baltimore, but it's like I look at like big picture, like if they've got Bo and Vladdy, like prime years of them, like, and they're are where they are right now, then how do things get better where they're like World Series favorites again? And I just start thinking about that. It's like, when is that?
Yeah, that's a difficult thing to answer because, their pitching staff has not been great either.
And you called that, Hayes. You called it. You said those guys were so locked in last year. It's like every performance almost, night after night, the guys seemed dynamite. Mm-hmm. To expect that again would be insane. And it hasn't happened like that.
Wasn't going to happen. Exactly. And Gausman struggled. Bassett struggled. Barrios has been great. Kikuchi's been great. They put up numbers. But now they don't even have a fifth starter. They're throwing openers out. Manoah's not going to be a part of the program for a while, if at all, the rest of the year. It's concerning. Yeah, it's concerning. Their bullpen hasn't been great. Listen, you're in the eye of the fire right now. Like that, I guess, is the perspective you have to have. Right now, you're watching this team saying, I don't see it. It's got to be a retool. The problem is they don't have a farm system that's going to benefit them. It'd be it'd be one thing if you're a 500 club, but you understood you have a top 3 farm system and it's coming, or you have pieces to make trades and you think you can improve not overnight, but over the course of an offseason or two. Jays are not in that position.
Well, that would make a fan scratch their head. Little success on the field, also no farm system.
That's the way it's ranked. I'm sure the Jays front office would look at it differently and say they believe in their people and they like their prospects.
Okay,
but according to collective, MLB.com, Baseball Prospectus, all these different spots, they're like a bottom third farm system in baseball. So, what can you rely on? I don't know. That doesn't mean there aren't guys in there that are going to hit, but that's what they are.
Vladdy hit the 7th today, so we'll see if he can get maybe moving a little bit.
7, get to double digits, man. Come on.
Yeah,
before you come home, right?
Dude, the leadoff hitter for the Baltimore Orioles has 19 dingers.
Yeah. Gunnar Henderson is a machine.
The leadoff guy for the Orioles has 19 dingers in the stud in Toronto. One thing that I get kind of tired is like the guy will ground out, but they talk about the exit velo of the ground out. It's like, can you please stop it, whoever does that? Who cares?
It's completely meaningless if it results in an out. Or you hit it
a liner that somebody catches for the 3rd out of an inning. I don't want to hear about the exit velo. Honestly, I don't.
Well, it didn't exit anything.
It exited his bat at a high rate of speed,
Right.
but somebody caught it. I don't
Yes.
care how fast it came off his bat if someone caught it.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's completely irrelevant, ultimately when it comes to an out. Now, power hitting, we had Trevor May on the other day, and he spoke of it like just hit the ball as hard as you can. I understand that. I get that. But if it's not landing where it's supposed to, or you don't have a launch angle that's going to see it leave the park, these guys are too good defensively that they're going to get to these balls. Mm-hmm. And I'm with you. Everything's, he hit into an inning-ending double play, but, man, the velocity on that double play was incredible.
Yeah.
The velocity on that was spectacular. Here's Darren Dreger, our TSN Hockey Insider, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. What's happening, Dregs?
Hey, guys. How you doing? Pretty good week.
Yeah. We're everyone's relaxing, waiting for the games to start on Saturday night. Where's your head at with the Cup Final?
I mean, kind of the same. But I'm not going to lie to you, fellas. I'm already looking at July 2nd, maybe July 3rd. So this week, this week in the gap of time that we've had to get ready for Saturday in the opener, I've had doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. I got vehicle service. I got my dog to the vet this morning. I'm all over it. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Stanley Cup Final. I'm looking forward to the draft in Vegas. I'm looking forward to July 1st, and I'm also looking forward to July 2nd and 3rd.
Okay. And those are travel days, I'm assuming, for you?
Those would be travel days. That is correct.
Winnebago right to Saskatchewan.
Right into Saski.
Pretty close, yeah.
Well, in terms of the activity between now and then, are you, every year we wait for it, we hope for it, and there's action. There's always going to be action. There's going to be a lot of signings at noon on July 1st. There will be some deals. But where does your focus go? Like, is there a team in particular that you would circle as, that's the team that could be the domino effect, and when they get going and they make moves, everyone else could respond? Yeah,
it's hard to pinpoint one team because you've got some interesting pieces that are potentially in play. Like, I look at Boston and what's going to happen with Linus Ullmark. Carolina, obviously, you've got Marty Necas, who, we in the media world have basically written off. Like, he's getting traded, yet, my Carolina sources indicate that, there could be a willingness perhaps to trade, but they want to keep him. They have property rights, and if he's getting moved, it's going to be for a serious deal. So then you flip back to the goaltending. And, according to Pierre LeBrun and his conversation with Barry Trotz, as, he wrote about in The Athletic, it sounds like they're pretty confident in Nashville that they're going to get UC Saros extended. So now what are we looking at in the goalie market here? If Ullmark isn't willing to go to this team or that team, like I'm seeing that maybe he's a fit in Vancouver, maybe he's a fit in Montreal, maybe he's a fit here and there. Well, are those teams on his, willing to go to list? Because he wasn't willing to go to LA, and it doesn't sound like he'd be interested in coming to Toronto. So what does that goalie list look like when all the dust settles here after the Stanley Cup Final? So that, for me, is one of the most compelling storylines.
Yeah, it'll be certainly interesting. Now, Dregs, do you like it when you get a little nugget of information and then the agent just bombs it on Twitter? I don't know if you saw the Dan Milstein tweet just basically saying fake news about Zadorov this afternoon. Is it – listen – I think, you're a guy who doesn't put stuff out unless it's verified, where, that was kind of speculation, and that's why I think Milstein dropped the hammer. But, the agents get frustrated, and do you see agents kind of wanting to do that type of stuff? Do they call you kind of venting, saying, why the hell is this guy doing this? Or, you want things kind of kept behind the curtain?
Yeah, most of them, do keep it behind the curtain, Noodles. You look at the big boys like Newport or CAA. Even I think of Darren Ferris, who represents, Mitch Marner. I think that there will be a different approach this time around than there was the last time in looking at the extension. But Milstein is always kind of front and center. He's like Alan Walsh in that grouping where, he's not afraid to put his opinion out there on social media. There's been a lot of speculation around Zadorov. There really has been since the end of the Vancouver Canucks season here in losing to Edmonton. But, okay, we've all heard it. So maybe it gets to a place where the agent is tired of the speculation and rather go through the conventional means of coming to me or one of the insiders or one of the local reporters. It's just as easy and certainly factual to put it out there himself. But you don't get a lot of that, especially this time of year, because July 1st isn't that far away. So maybe Dan is a little bit concerned with what the market looks like. Maybe he's a little bit concerned with spooking the Vancouver Canucks entirely. I don't know what his motivation is because I didn't hear from him. I did see the tweet, but normally the agents want to keep a lower profile this time of year because of the level of uncertainty, especially on expiring contracts.
Darren, we were talking about Zadorov's, the buzz around his contract, and it has a Canadian element to it where, this guy's a good player, but the buzz and the talk about his contract, especially in the Vancouver market, has gone nuts. And it's just, I don't know if it's warranted. It just seems like Canada loves to just go nuts on somebody's contract. Is there instances where it could possibly hurt the player or is this just all positive? Milstein saying any buzz about this guy, it's all positive.
There is a buzz about him because there's a number of general managers that do see, level of quality in the game that he can play. The size does matter in this case. And I think most would argue that he had a pretty good postseason run. And even his time overall in Vancouver was highly positive. So that's the good side. The bad side, and this is what I hear from general managers. So, I don't want Dan Milstein coming after me, but the reality of this situation is that, Zadorov is a player who, he can be effective, but thinks he's a 2-3-4 guy. And on a lot of teams, he's not a 2-3-4 guy. He can play in that position in certain situations for a period of time, but is that what you're signing? Is that what you're negotiating on when you're looking at the term that he feels that he deserves? I'm okay with him going to the open market or asking whatever he feels that he deserves or thinks he deserves from the Vancouver Canucks. That's the business side of hockey, and that's his right based on where he's at contractually. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the league is just going to tip over and say, yeah, we'll give you a 5, 6, 7-year term. I don't think that's reality with him, unfortunately.
With Darren Dreger, our TSN Hockey Insider, in terms of the Oilers and their future, how much of the outcome of this series, how much of an effect could it have on the future? In other words, what Ken Holland decides to do in the future, how Leon Draisaitl approaches his contract this summer, Matthias Ekholm, what they, a number of different things, what they do with the backup goaltender, how they feel about Skinner. Is it as simple as they win 4 more games and the band stays together? Or, if they lose, do they go back to the drawing board? How do you see the Oilers' future possibly being affected by either a win or a loss in the Cup Final?
Well, I do feel right or wrong differently. If we want to be specific to Leon Draisaitl, I feel different today than I would have felt at the start of the postseason. Just based on, all right, well, let's see how it goes. If it's a second-round dispatch, well, maybe that jumpstarts, Leon's interest in whatever the future looks like in this offseason. Yeah, you're right. We know he's going into the final year of his contract, but, he's an emotionally driven guy. And when you hoist that Stanley Cup, there is a brotherhood that I believe that is recognized. But if they don't, and even if they do, am I overstating that? Again, there's a business side of this. Who would argue that Leon Draisaitl can't drive a team, be the head player on a team in the National Hockey League? You could argue on some nights, a lot of nights, maybe not in this postseason, but a lot of nights, he's been that in Edmonton. And I didn't like he and Connor McDavid are best friends. So this isn't one versus the other. That's just the business side of the game. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes into this off season, whatever happens, and says, look, I'm happy to stay here. I don't want to negotiate right now. But he would do that under the guidance of his agent, who would have had some form of conversation with the brass of the Edmonton Oilers to get their kind of stomach for what an extension would look like. And if they're not comfortable, then why would they even bother him with it? And everybody just goes into next season. He has an opportunity to see how the wheels turn at Edmonton next year. And if he gets to the open market, then I guess ultimately that's the positive for Leon Draisaitl and the negative for the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think it gets to that point, but if he wants a big percentage, 14, 15, 16%, even though the cap's going up, how can they afford to pay all those guys? They can't.
Well, yeah, and lost in all of this is Evan Bouchard is a RFA in a year.
He's not far, yeah.
So, I mean, making 3.9, this guy put up 82 points in the regular season, and now he's kissing up on 30 here in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This guy's going to get a big raise, too. Like, that kind of gets lost in the shuffle, too.
Well, Jamie, isn't he going to say, look, all the other $9 million guys, I'm a $9 million guy, so don't even think about 1 cent less.
I would think so,
might.
but I've been dying for, and I don't know it's ever going to happen or whatever. We haven't seen it. I mean, we saw Kotkaniemi, but is there any offer sheets? I think managers have to.
Never
I think managers
it's
have to
disgusting
pull
why
it.
it doesn't.
I'm telling you, you guys know this. At last year on free agency, I said somebody should offer Jeremy Swayman. I remember sitting beside Marty.
You did.
Cirelli a couple years earlier. You said the Ottawa
Cirelli.
Senators should offer Cirelli an offer sheet.
But it is a tool in the CBA. I know there's unwritten rules, but this is where if you have some financial flexibility or you have the ability to jam up another team, and you don't want to do that, but it is still a competitive nature. Like, think of if Jeremy Swayman would have been offer sheeted. I don't know what that number would have looked like, but let's say it's $6 million. All of a sudden, that jams up Boston's cap structure. They might not be able to do something that they wanted to do this past season. Maybe they don't end up being first, or pressing up against that. Like that's the type of stuff that I look at. So to me, I as we go down for another month heading into free agency, there's some players here that are RFAs that I'd be looking at going, I might want to take a peek at them. Like that's just me, though.
Of course, no one's disagreeing, Noodles. I would too, but it just doesn't happen. It's never going to happen, and it's interesting that it feels like there's got to be an owner that does it. Like, who's the new maybe it's the guy in Utah says, I don't care about your rules. Like, I come from the NBA. We do this in the NBA all the time.
They got a ton of picks, too. They've got a ton of picks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Go and offer sheet a guy. Go for it. But
and I'm with you. And most general managers, certainly not all, most would say, hey, it is a tool that we can utilize in a collective bargaining agreement. It is. So you're not cheating anybody. Whether, again, or not, it goes against the old code. I mean, where is that code now, right? You've got Lou Lamoriello and a handful of old school general managers, and then you have the rest. And you have new guys coming in wave after wave basically every year. You do have to have full ownership blessing, but more important than that, and this is where it gets a little shady, like, this is where you have to have great partnership and a relationship with the agent, right? Yeah. You're not going to Team X or, there's got to be behind-the-scenes conversation that happens whereby if you're willing to put that out there and you're willing to go to war with the organization that you're doing that with, then you better be damn sure that it's going to fly, which is why there's this kind of nonsense out there that, Carolina and Montreal can't do deals, because of the whole Kotkaniemi thing and Aho and all of that.
Come on.
Nonsense. It's complete and utter nonsense. It's part of the rule book. It's governed by the collective bargaining agreement. There's no doubt that the player agents would have been involved. It didn't work. So what? You move on and you figure out a different way to get another player. I stopped talking about it a long time ago because of what you guys said, Brian. It almost never happens. It almost never happens. And I don't want to be part of the process of selling something that isn't going to happen. So I've told agents that when you believe that it's legit and there's a strong chance it's happening and you can present team X, Y, and Z, then I'm all in. I'll put that out there publicly. Until then, don't bother.
Yeah. Well, I think the Aho Kakaniemi thing, though, is an example of what happened. Like, in my opinion, like
got personal and stupid.
But exactly, the Habs tried to get Aho, which was a great deal, and he's a great player. And then Carolina is like, all right, screw you, watch us. And, that's the issue.
Don't you think they'd want that back, though? You don't think they would have taken the emotion out of it and said, we need a do-over here?
But that's my point, though. It was they had to prove, we'll get you back because we don't do that. We have a gentleman's agreement. No one steals players in this league.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we've always believed was going to happen is the other team's like, fine, you do that to me, I'll screw you over. Brian Burke and Kevin Lowe, everyone knows it's goofy. And it's not competitive, and it goes against what sports is all about. You're trying to beat the other guys, but it just doesn't happen, and there's no reason to believe it's going to start this summer. In fact, I think we'd all be shocked. Like
I would be.
It's not going to happen. And these are bigger names. There's also other guys. Like let's say you just use Matthew Nyes as an example. Like good player. If you think he could become great, and you could sneak in and grab him. Like forget the player that is going to cost you $9 million, $10 million. You could offer sheet a guy for $4 million, $4.5 million, $5 million, and it doesn't happen. And a part of it also I think is the players. They also don't want to do it because they don't want the team to match, and then they're on a bad footing. And it's like,
and it gets grumpy that way.
Why'd you do that and all that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's hope. Let's pull. I'm pulling for it, but
it would be fun, man. If we had won 2, 3 of those a year, how good would that juice thing?
Oh, awesome. Amazing.
Awesome.
It would be. It's good fodder. I think you're right. Like it's a competitive league, and maybe that player, you see something in him and it's a year ahead of his time. Like he's kind of caught behind somebody. That's why, the Cirelli one that I was all over, like Cirelli is a hell of a player and he's not going to play ahead of Braden Point. So maybe he gets an opportunity to go somewhere else. And like that type of stuff. Swayman was behind the Vezina winner. So you're going, okay, that's to me when you're trying to pluck somebody going, we got good value here. We want to offer sheet him. It might look like an overpay, but that guy's going to be our number one centerman, our number one goaltender. Yeah. You name it. Like that's you got to think ahead in this stuff, man.
You would think so, but doesn't generally operate that way.
No.
All right, Dregs. Good stuff, buddy. We'll do it again soon. Thank you for this.
Okay, boys. Yep, take care.
Darren Dreger, our TSN hockey insider, and Game 1 of the Cup Final Saturday night. Yeah, it'd be a lot more fun if that happened. A lot more fun. You saw more trades. You saw more offer sheets. It happens in the NBA all the time. All the time in the NBA.
It's almost over the top, though, because the players are just like, I'm not going anywhere but that spot right there, so just sort it out.
Yeah.
And LeBron's hiring his buddy.
But there's a lot of examples of teams being in, it's a conundrum. You're like, do I match it or not? Is he worth that? Where does he fit? It happens all the time.
Sure as hell is a lot more exciting where guys are willing to say, like, Fred VanVleet, Houston sucks. I don't care. Throw me a bag. I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah. And, he was a pure free agent, but
I get it, but just situations like that where it's like I just follow the money or make it interesting or just make a splash. There's a lot more splashes.
Well, that's the mentality. Like forget the money. What you just said. Let's use Cirelli. It's like I can't move. I want to be a number one. I'm a number one guy, and I want to prove it.
Right.
I can't do that here because of the way this organization sees me. So it's not. You could sell it as I signed that RFA deal, that offer sheet, not because of the money as much as it was the opportunity. Like that's another angle that doesn't come up that I'm surprised the players don't push more for, and the agents don't push for more.
Yeah, but dude, when you're talking about like Ottawa could have signed him to an offer sheet $7 or $8 million a year and literally handcuffed Tampa where it would. It's about the money, man. Like
it is.
Follow the money if you ever want to know. Like
obviously.
Somebody offers you that dough, it's like, yeah, I'm taking that.
But why would? But that's a part of the problem is it's always being described that way. You can screw over a team. That's not good business either. Like, if you're going to overpay a guy to screw over another
You're just
team,
stupid if you want to do that.
Exactly.
Like what Carolina did was flat out stupid.
Stupid. The second they did it, we all carved them. We're like, this is amateur hour. It's vindictive. And Kotkaniemi's not worth it. Nowhere close to it.
He was their fourth-line center in the playoffs.
And now they're done with him. And it's, you know, he was never worth $6 million or whatever.
Well, didn't they sign him to another deal? They signed him
to an extension at 4.
Because they had to for less money. Because they felt like they basically had to.
Yeah.
All right. We've got the Shia-san audio.
Yes.
You guys want to hear?
I want to hear how. Listen to how you pronounce this.
You want to hear my pronunciation first?
Yes.
Okay,
Doogie, do me a favor. Let's hear it.
Is that Chia-san? Yeah, that Chi. It was that's bad. Chia-san. I said
Play
Chi.
it one more time.
Is that Chia-san?
Chia-san?
Yeah, like a strong Chia.
That's where you got me.
That's bad.
No.
All I thought it was
Chia
Chia-Pet.
You're right.
Chia-san.
Chia-san is not Chia-san. Let's hear it. We have a clip from when he was in Ottawa. You want to hear this?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Kelvin and Carlson were whacking each other, and that's when Chia-san stepped in.
That's a strong Chia. Wait a minute. Let's go back to that tape.
Is that our broadcast?
I have no idea who that is.
Kelvin and Carlson were whacking each other, and that's when Chia-san stepped in.
Dude, I think
That's
I got
how
it right.
You
That's
did.
That's wrong, though.
You did. It's so
right.
crazy.
You guys saw Gord's text, and he said you could call me anytime.
I'm just going by what a live broadcast said.
That's
I thought he
professional
sounded like a
broadcast.
moron saying Chia-san, and that guy just said Chia-san.
That's right.
Yeah, well,
That's right. Case dismissed.
My apologies on your birthday.
Thank you.
My apologies.
case
Thank you.
dismissed. Well,
Case
you
dismissed.
saw
Chia-san. Chia-san.
Shia-san. That's what
I
it
always
was.
thought, I was surprised I pronounced it Chia-san, but it turns out I was right. You know, based on that guy. I don't know who that was. I couldn't pick up on who was doing play-by-play there.
Yeah, that was
Chia-san.
If you listen to me and Gord say it, it was Shia-san.
Chia-san.
And I would say, unbelievable play by Shia-san.
Chia-san. All right.
But then it went back to Chase-on when he went to Dallas and Washington.
Yeah, right.
So,
That
and
was
Edmonton
like
and wherever else.
Who was the coach? Tarian. Remember,
Michelle Tarian.
Michelle Tarian. Then it was Mike Tarian the second he got to Pitt.
So
He was
ridiculous.
Mike and Pitt.
Yeah, it's Mike. Hey, Mike Tarian, how are you? He flying to Montreal and be Michelle.
I'll never
Tarian.
forget his presser in the Pittsburgh when he said, I honestly think they're trying to be the worst defensive team ever.
That's right.
Thank you, Mike. See you later, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. See you tomorrow.
Attaboy, Mike. Great stuff tonight, Mike. All right. Steven Caldwell coming up. Not good for the Canadian team. Copa America right around the corner. They got their doors blown off by the Netherlands. They've got France in France coming up this weekend. Feels like it might get ugly for the Canadian boys. But we'll get you an update on what's going on there. They got a new head coach, Copa America. We know the World Cup's here in a couple of years. You got the Euros this summer. Steven Caldwell will be all over that.
You
Crushing
can talk
it
to
on TSN.
Stevie about the Scottish accent, too, like what's the
That's
vibe
right.
is. Yeah,
That's right.
He's got the
It's
best
true.
one ever.
I don't think he's Glaswegian, but I don't. He's Scottish. I mean, there's no question about that. But yeah, we'll just pepper him with questions on the Scottish accent. Why did we bring that up the other? Oh, Bob McIntyre.
Yeah,
We'll
but
see-
can we ask him about McIntyre?
Yeah.
If you won something big, if you won something big, would you move on to the next week, or would you go home and party with your buddies?
Yes.
Back in Scotland.
All right,
Dude, the
well,
fact
that's-
that guy's not there, I still find to be insane.
like, what a place. Jack Nicklaus, elevated event, massive cash, and Bob McIntyre's in a pub somewhere in, where is he? Dundee?
Treating it like the Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah, I know, honestly. He's like, I'm not going there, man. What do you, this is amateur hour. All right, Stevie's coming up. Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel, still to come as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, CFL back tonight. NBA Finals tonight. The Memorial down in Columbus, Ohio, where Bob McIntyre, he should be down there. He should be crushing it down there, but he's not. He's back in Scotland, and can't even imagine what that guy's up to. What are they, 5 hours ahead? It's 11:34 p.m. somewhere in Scotland. Bob McIntyre is flooring it.
Flooring it like he's
good.
never done before.
Yeah, and he's got to be picking up the tabs, right? You come back with a huge check like that. You can't fly home and expect other people to pay for you.
Yeah, but he could have played again this week, and the winner gets 4 sheets for the first place at Memorial.
That's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money. And, you know, the Canadians gearing up for the Copa America, where they're going to face Argentina down in South America. It's not going to be easy. They're playing friendlies this week. They played the Netherlands today and got smoked 4-0. They've got France, the number 2 team ranked in the world, in France, in Bordeaux on Sunday. Ooh. Here's our buddy Steven Caldwell, our TSN footy analyst. What do you make of your countrymen there, Steven? Great to see you, buddy. We appreciate you doing this. Robert McIntyre wins the RBC Canadian Open, and instead of continuing to play golf, he flies back to Scotland to party. Do you have an appreciation for that move?
Come on with that move, man. What's he thinking?
Going to respect that, guys. You know I'm going to respect that. You got to enjoy the victories, guys. Can you imagine the party in Scotland? These local towns probably going to be buzzing right now. Everybody will say they went to school with him. They're his aunt, they're his relative, some form of family member. He will be the most popular man in Scotland, and his bank balance will be a little lighter because he'll be buying a lot of beers.
Yes, I love it, man. They love a good party over there, don't they, in Scotland? I mean, can't go wrong with that. You're right. Well, it's great to have you. And, again, it wasn't a great outing today, I guess. You know, the Netherlands got past Canada 4-0. It's a friendly. They got France on Sunday. They got a new head coach. You know, we spoke with Jesse a couple of weeks ago. He's excited about the opportunity, but what are you making of the squad right now on the national side of things?
I mean, we're playing against Canada's up against Netherlands, who are up there with the best in the world. So it's always going to be difficult. New coach, didn't really get enough time to bed in some of his ideas, and is very, you know, precise and specific with what he wants from a team in terms of high press and very aggressive stepping towards players. And so we saw a good version of that in the first 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. And then the Dutch, being as good as they are, started to see where the spaces were. Canada didn't react. And the second half was a bit of a disaster. The energy dropped off considerably and the individual errors came in. And that's the issue with playing this formation that Jesse Marsh likes and has went with for his first game as Canadian men's national team coach. It's all about getting the thing done individually, making sure there's not glaring errors. You stay with your man, you're concentrating the whole time. We didn't do that. Canada were caught wanting, and unfortunately it was a heavy defeat, and it's not going to get easier with France and Argentina on the horizon.
Stevie, how much different could a new coach want to change things up on the pitch? Like, would it be drastic, where as a player you'd be like, wow? Or would it just be individual motivation with players? Or would there be a lot different strategic things that a new guy would want to bring in or has tried to bring in?
Yeah, it's really new, dog, what Jesse Marsh is trying to do. It's high press, it's Red Bull style, gegenpress, they call it, Klopp football.
Do you like it, what he's doing?
You know, I like it when you've got the players for it. I like it when you're the dominant side. I think when you're considerably second best when it comes to the talent, it's a major risk. I think you got to come up with some kind of hybrid. There's times to press. For example, you can press goal kicks. You can press maybe some negative passes. But there has to be times where you get 11 behind the ball and you bed in and you try and defend for a long period of time when that team is you know, really playing well at that moment. So I think ultimately what Jesse Marsh has built his brand on, his career on, he's been so consistent with that message that I'm going to go hard. My teams are going to be what you see is what you get, front foot football, aggressive, and try and pick the ball, you know, where the team's kind of playing it for the back, in the back of the net quickly. It's hard for him to go away from that. But I think if he's going to get success, short-term success, now longer-term, maybe the ideas get better, maybe the talent is there, the athleticism that's needed to play this way. But short-term, for France in a few days' time, short turnaround, and then for Argentina, Peru and Chile in the Copa America, there needs to be a hybrid version of this if Canada are going to be successful.
With Steven Caldwell, Canada losing 4-0 to the Netherlands in a friendly today. They got France on the weekend, then the Copa America right around the corner where it starts to get real for them. And I saw that Alphonso Davies was announced, you know, captain for the match today. And when we interviewed Jesse Marsh a couple of weeks ago, I asked him how much he knows him well in terms of his game, getting to know him more on a personal level. And obviously it's more than one guy, but Davies kind of stands out among the rest in terms of his profile and his abilities, his talent level. How do you see Marsh, applying Davies compared to the way maybe Herdman used him in the past?
Well, Herdman kind of used them everywhere. He played, 4, 5, 6 positions for Canada. There was the age-long debate. He's a left back for Bayern Munich predominantly, although he's played some games higher up off the bench this season. Surely he should play left back for the national team. And I don't think it's always as simple as that. But I do think he's better when he comes onto things, when he comes from deeper positions, particularly on a switch, when he can use his athleticism. He's one world-class quality, his athleticism, speed, getting him behind defences. So, if you can get him in a position where he can come from, the opposite side, come into the play and really break that line with or without the ball, he's very effective. Now, Jesse Marsh's early comments in the job were Alphonso Davies is going to play higher up. He's going to be in a forward position. Lo and behold, first game, he's in the left back. And so I think the reality is, my opinion on this is, Canada doesn't have a left back that's anywhere close. Richie Laryea has been injured. Maybe you could say him, although he's naturally a right-sided player. He has played a lot of games on the left. I don't see anybody else that's capable of playing at this level in the left-back position. So Davies is there a little bit by default to get the best players in the team. And is it the position that he wants to play for Canada? No, I don't think so. He wants to be higher up. He wants to be affecting games. He wants to be scoring goals. I think left-back's his best position, like I said, coming from a deeper area. But it's trying to, sort of merge that harmony between getting him in his best position and keeping him happy so that he's as effective as he can be. That's going to be the biggest issue for Jesse Marsh. The armband's probably part of that. Give him the armband, give him extra responsibility, have him be a leader. I think it's too early for that as well. I think Eustáquio's the captain of this team, should be the captain of this team, should be the one who leads in the shorter term, and then maybe Davies is ready one day to take that armband. But at the moment, I think it's too much responsibility on his shoulders. Jesse Marsh has got a big challenge. He has to get his best two players playing in their club form. Davies needs to be playing better and more effective, and Jonathan David needs to be in the right positions, the right areas to score the goals that are going to be needed if Canada are going to get results.
Steven Caldwell. So, as we know, Canada, again, will be playing Argentina in the Copa America. And there's a big story up here, as you're aware of. Lionel Messi was not coming to Vancouver. He was never going to go to Vancouver. They announced it, about 48 hours before the match, maybe a few days before it. Where do you stand now that we're about a year into this? Messi over here, the arrival, what he's about, what he represents, how much responsibility he has personally in individual markets. Where do you stand on the Messi in MLS, in North America, growing the game? Where's that conversation for you today compared to maybe where it was when he originally arrived?
I'm still there. I still think he's growing the game enormously in North America. His performances on the field have been outstanding. He's scoring and assisting at the same rate as he has done anywhere in the world. Not surprised at that. It's obviously a lower level than he's played at, even though he's getting on in years, and at times it looks too easy and is too easy for him. Now, the responsibility on Inter Miami and Messi is to put together a team that supports Messi and obviously to win. It's not to go into Vancouver or into Toronto or into Nashville and help sell tickets. Now, the league might think that that's part of his responsibility, but I don't. I think his responsibility is to his club to perform and to be the best player that he can be. And Vancouver's got artificial grass. We know he doesn't play on artificial grass, so it's going to be a problem. If you're any club with artificial grass and you're selling season tickets, predominantly saying, we've got Inter Miami coming this season, Messi's going to play, you're running a huge risk of the type of apathy that we saw in Vancouver and the disappointment that fans felt, the hike up in prices. He doesn't turn up, they got to get away free food, there's issues around that. It was all this paraphernalia that comes around Messi supposedly coming and not getting there. But I don't think that responsibility is all on him. I think ultimately this league needs to stand on its own 2 feet. Yes, guys like Messi are very important for the growth and the future success of it. But we can't just be selling tickets because Messi might or might not play in an away game that's coming up, potentially months ahead of when these season seats are being sold. You got to come to the game on the merits of what it is. And unfortunately, if you're a team, you're support a team that plays on turf, don't expect to see Messi in your stadium. It's highly unlikely.
Steven, how much of a step is this for the Canadian players to play in the Copa America? And is Argentina considered the favorite to win that?
Yes, Noodles are my favourite for sure. I think they're the best team. I think they get the best balance in terms of quality players, but grit, determination, great coaching, Scaloni, World Cup winners or holders at the moment, just going from strength to strength and look really strong. A bunch of guys that maybe are not the most skillful players, let's say, but do Messi's running and support the genius that is Lionel Messi. I think they're the best team. I think they'll probably go on and win it. I mean, everybody expects a Brazil-Argentina final. It's probably the flagship game, and Brazil are young, a little inexperienced, but they look really good. For Canada, it's very important that they use it as a platform to prepare and be ready for 2026. What does that mean, and what levels of success, or what will we gauge success, let's say? I think Canada have to be competitive. The first game is a bit of a free shot. They're playing against the World Cup winners, the number one ranked team in the whole world. They can sort of go out there and have a bit of a free shot. Hopefully they don't lose heavily. And then that second game is absolutely vital. I think Peru's a winnable game. And when I say that, I mean if they play at their best and things go right and the tactics are right in the day, they get a little bit of luck, Canada could beat Peru. I'm confident of that. I've watched a lot of Peru. Chile then is going to be an extremely hard game, but if you've won that game against Peru, you're playing Chile probably for a place in the quarterfinals. So that would be an amazing tournament if they get that one win, likely in the middle game, and sets up a chance in the last game for Canada to get to the knockout stage. Would be a roaring success and would help them in terms of experience and preparation before 2026.
Stevie, before we get you out of here, I'd have to ask you, have you had any big nights with any of your top lads in town where you just went out and hammered beers? You got to have something good for me. There's had to have been a good night here along the way.
I'm on a bit of a health kick at the moment, dog. I'm trying to behave. I'm going to my Scottish bar on Friday night with the boys for a couple. I've got a feeling it's going to get a little bit messy before the Euros and the Copa America. My last chance for a good drink before the tournament starts. I'm going to be busy. So I'm already prepared for a couple of whiskies and 5 or 6 beers.
I love it. The Scottish pub waiting for you somewhere in Toronto.
The Caledonian, I'll give it a shout out. It's brilliant.
Shout out.
Good man, Stevie. You have a big night for us, pal.
All right, Stevie.
Thanks, pal. Guys. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Steven Caldwell, our TSN footy analyst. We love it. And a resident Scotsman.
Can we clip that, because that might be a level of concern? What did he say? 5 or 6 beers and 5 or 6 whiskeys? Something? Yeah. What was that like?
Dude, you know that whatever numbers he just mentioned, it's times 4 for each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love his Scottish bar. What did he say it was? The Caledonian?
Caledonian. Imagine what goes on in there. Headbutts, fist fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's probably been some wild stuff going on down there.
Wild.
Yeah. Some of the stories are just crazy that you hear about over the years, man.
Oh, man.
It's so funny. I used to hear stories about, like, the Rangers would come over and play a friendly against a team. It'd just be brawls everywhere. It's like, what's going on?
What is going on here?
What are we doing here?
For a couple of whiskeys and 5 or 6 beers.
There's a new level of concern.
Dude,
option.
Yes.
Steven Caldwell at the Caledonian.
I want that clip I want it 5 times a show. I don't even care. Just blurt it out when someone else is talking. I don't even care.
It doesn't matter. We could be doing a serious interview with anybody.
Yeah,
a couple of whiskeys and 5 or 6 beers.
All right, and Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel. Still to come. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I'm taking the points tonight. Game 1, Mavericks getting 6.5 on FanDuel. I could see them winning this outright. I think it'll be a fun game, good game, but 6.5 is too much for two healthy teams, two good teams, a good matchup. They'll be ready in Boston. I'll take the points tonight. Dallas plus 6.5. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. The sweat begins at tip-off by betting your favorite NBA star to score the first basket or go for 30-plus points in a same-game parlay. Please play responsibly. 19-plus, physically located in Ontario. Game one of the NBA Finals will
Dallas
be
is given 6?
Tonight. Yeah, no, they're getting 6.5.
Oh, I'll take Dallas all day long.
Yeah. Celtics minus 6.5. That's the spread tonight. So, I think it's a close game. I could see Dallas winning this game. I think Luka, he'll be ready to go. I'm taking the points tonight. So, tomorrow we'll be teeing up the Cup Final. Extensive tee-up. Maybe a little Dear Hazy B returning tomorrow. Right? I think we got to bring that back into the fold for sure. See if my boy Adam Hadwin, my partner, continues to roll down at the Memorial. And we're looking forward to that. The Jays will be out in Oakland, right? Camus.
Barn burner with the rats and the pressers.
Yep, the barn burner. Absolutely. All right. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. Radio, TV, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
Happy birthday, Hazy B. We love you, pal. 4 p.m.
Happy birthday. We'll chat then.
A couple of whiskeys and 5 or 6 beers.